Hello everybody, how you all doing today? Christian here. Welcome to another Magic the Gathering EDH deck profile that I decided to do for you guys today. And at the time this video is first being uploaded onto my channel, it's actually my birthday today actually, yay! So I decided for my birthday, to do like a deck profile for you guys. No promises, but if something else happens for my birthday, I might upload an additional video for my birthday as well, but very likely I don't think it's gonna happen unless I get a shiny Eevee or something, so don't hold me to that. But anyways, for those guys who, speaking of me getting a shiny Eevee all that such, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm also very active on Twitch as well. I do a lot more Twitch content than I do YouTube content, and on my day of my birthday, if you guys want to show me support, awesome, I really do appreciate. At 9 p.m. Northern Eastern time, I'll be doing a shiny hunt on, I'll be streaming for my birthday. If we get shiny Eevee on BDSP before my birthday, we will stream Legends ZA. But if we don't get a shiny Eevee before my birthday, we'll stream myself shiny hunting for Eevee on BDSP. So we're either gonna play Legends ZA or Legends, or Pokemon BDSP. So if you guys want to follow me on my Twitch channel, I really do appreciate it. It'll be Christian the Dragons /TV. So if you guys want to check me out on Twitch, I really do appreciate it. We're almost at 1,000 followers. It would really mean a lot to me if you guys join me on the journey right here. Currently, we're at 812 followers at time we're doing the stream right here /video. So anyways. So for today's deck profile, I want to do a deck profile of my Miirym Sentinel Wyrm deck right here. As I have mentioned before with my Dragon, Dogme, and Infect deck, I wanted to play decks that are based around my modern days of Magic. When I used to play Modern a lot, along with Infect, my first real serious Modern deck was a red-green ghoul deck right here. Yes, I know this is Tamir, but this deck plays very similar to Ghoul right here. The blue is just there to not only because we can have excuse to use this guy as our commander right here, but to have access to have like some really cool blue cards that Ghoul never had access to. And even the mono blue cards play very ghoulish too right here. So this is what I call my double dragons deck right here. Obviously my Dragon is always going to be my bread and butter, but this is like another dragon deck I kind of want to mess around with for old time sakes right here to reminisce my ghoul dragon days and modern right here. And this deck definitely plays very aggro, very heavily. 80% of the deck is brute force dragons, 20% of the deck is utilizing Miirym's ability to get double dragons, which is definitely very helpful in a format like Commander where everything is at singleton besides basic lands and cards to say otherwise. Having double of all your dragons is definitely very powerful, and there's a reason why Miirym is good in the Dragon deck himself too, because imagine playing him then playing your Dragon, so you have two Dragons, which is just insane in the Dragon deck. And even at his own EDH deck he's just a fun card to mess around as well too. So with that being said, let's get on straight to the deck profile, and I'll explain my choices here and there. So first of all, our commander of the deck is Miirym Sentinel Wyrm. What this bad boy does, he's for Tamir and 3 of anything, so 6 mana. You get a 6/6 flyer with Ward 2, and with the really cool ability of whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of that copy of it, except the token isn't a legendary if that dragon is legendary. So this is a nice cool way to observe the legendary rule. As I mentioned with Dragon earlier, there's a reason why this card is great in Dragon, because you can have 2 Dragons, you can have 2 target world renders, you can have 2 of any dragons that you would typically not have 2 of, and you just gain like a huge value engine with this Miirym right off the bat, which is just insane what you can do with Miirym. So that's why this deck kind of plays a little bit ghoulish, as I mentioned. It's red-green with a little bit of blue. There's like a little hint of blue, and like I said, the blue stuff does feel a little ghoulish for what you do. So yeah, this deck can definitely get out of hand, and it's lots of fun to do. And then before we get to the creatures, let's get the lands out of the way real quickly. So we have your typical your three fetch lands and your 3 shock lands. No explanation needed why these are in here. If you've been playing Magic for the longest while, you obviously know why these are in there for, especially why this is bracket 2 and all that such. And then we have 3 lands. Oh no, sorry. We have 2 lands that come in that tap for 3 colors, but they do come in tap, unfortunately. This one can at least be fetchable by a fetch land at the very least. And then we have 3 copies, not 3 copies, we have 3 snowlands. I'm missing, the one I'm missing right now is the blue-red one. A guy at my local LGS did say that he's gonna keep an eye out for me for that. And once he finds the other snowland for me, he'll let me know and I'll have that in deck very soon. But the main reason why we have these snowlands right here, not only because they're fetchable out of fetch lands and they do tap for 2 colors, it gives you more additional lands that have the basic land types, so that way when these lands right here enter the battlefield, they will come in untapped. So ideally you want to play something like Highland Forest, which, say you're going first, you play Highland Forest, you play this as your land for turn, and then when your next turn comes, you play your Rootbound Crag. Guess what? You have a mountain on the battlefield, so your Rootbound Crag will come in untapped, and then this will give you access to multiple colors as the game progresses. So that's why we're doing things the way that things are right now. And then for your basic lands, we have 6 mountains, 6 forests, and we are playing 4 islands. This deck does lean heavily more towards the red-green, so that's why there's a lot more red-green stuff than there is the blue stuff right here. It is important to have at least some blue stuff because there are some cards that do require blue. It's better to have some blue than no blue at all. Granted, you could get away with running no blue in this deck since you are running quite a bit of cards that tap for multiple colors. So, but again, it's better to have some blue than have no blue at all. So this is a good ratio for this deck right here, and you should be able to proceed from there on such. And then for your utility lands, we have the Command Tower, Path of Ancestry, Cavern of Souls, a really nice full version of Cavern of Souls. I really like this one right here. Exotic Orchard, Maelstrom of Spirit Dragon, Unclaimed Territory, Haven of the Spirit Dragon, and we have Mistrise Village. If you've seen my Dragon deck profile, you already know why these cards are in the deck for, so I don't need to go any further details why these cards are so great. And that's all you're really doing for the land package. Nothing really too complicated really to explain right there. And that is it for the lands. Now we are gonna go off to the creatures, the meat and potatoes of the deck right here. So we have a single copy. We have Ureni, the Unwritten. This card is awesome in a Miirym deck right here, because with Miirym, if you can create, if you bring him out while you have Miirym on the board, guess what? Thanks to Miirym, you will have a second copy of your Ureni. And if you guys have seen my Dragon profile, you know how much I love this card right here. And having 2 of these guys in the deck right here is nuts. And even the token, when it's brought out, will also allow you to get Ureny's ability to look at top 8 and fetch out a dragon on the board crazily. So, and also you are playing token doublers as well. So imagine getting 3 of these guys, imagine getting 4 of these guys, and you're just getting out your dragons up the wazoo. These guys just go like hand in hand. When I first made the Dathomir Creator deck, originally I wanted Ureni to be the Mander, and he was a fun Mander. I really did like him as my Mander, but with him as a Mander, he wasn't really doing much unless I had a haste enabler. And if I didn't have a haste enabler, he wasn't really going to be doing too much other than at one time. So that's why with Miirym as your Mander, you're able to get 2 Ureni triggers and start getting your board going crazily. So yeah, that's why we love ourselves some good old-fashioned Ureni. And then for the Ancient Dragons, we're playing Ancient Copper Dragon. Again, if you've seen the Dragon, no explanation needed. We're playing Ancient Silver Dragon and Ancient Bronze Dragon. We already know how good these cards are. Every time they deal combat damage, you roll a 20-sided die. and you get benefit depending on that. This will give you treasures, this will give you allow you to draw cards, and this will allow you to put +1/+1 counters on stuff right here. So also one thing I forgot to mention with Ureni, not Ureni, one thing I forgot to mention with my Miirym, typically when I have Miirym on the battlefield, I will typically avoid attacking with him unless it's either my last resort or if I have the right setup where I can attack for something for commander damage for game race as such. So even though this is a dragon deck, and even though my dragons are typically hyper offense and hyper aggressive, Miirym is technically the one commander I will hold off attacking unless I really need to. If you see me attacking with him, it's either because A, it's my last resort and I have no choice but to attack with him, especially get some sort of other benefit in particular, or B, if I happen to have the right setup with him where I can definitely kill him all my opponent all the commander damage. Like for example, a Tarkir World Render or Twin Flame Tyrant, or if I have Bronze Dragon's ability and let's say I roll a 10 or something and I put all 10 of my counters on my Miirym right here. By then, once I get crap ton tokens, or if I have a way to stack up damage, I can definitely two-shot my with Miirym and then kill an opponent within the turn or two right off the bat. So typically, like I said, I'll hold off attack with him unless I really need to. But when I do attack him, it just means I've either gone on my last resort, desperate measures, or I have the right setup to get him going. And then these dragons I call the kill on sight dragons, if that makes sense. Every time these dragons enter or another dragon enters, I can either kill something or bounce something. We play one Hammerhead Tyrant. This card is really cool. I was playing this in my Dragon deck not too long ago, and I might find room to put him back in the Dragon deck again. He's really cool. What Hammerhead Tyrant does is whenever you cast a spell, any spell, doesn't matter if it's creature, doesn't matter if it's dragon, any spell in general, whenever you cast a spell, I believe it has to be it doesn't even have to be permanent. So if you cast a 5-drop spell, you cast a 4-drop spell, it will definitely trigger this guy off. And what he does is, whenever you cast a spell, you may return, here you go, return up to one target permanent an opponent controls with a mana value less than or equal to the mana's value to the owner's hand. So if you drop a 5-drop dragon right here, you bounce something that costs 5 or less to your opponent's hand, etc., such. So this gets around the hexproof creatures, not hexproof, I'm sorry. This gets around the indestructible creatures, this gets around with stuff that typically can't be destroyed. Typically, you want to pop off with Terror of the Peaks and Scourge of Valkas and Dragon Tempest with this deck right here. So in case if you go through any annoying cards that ignore stuff like that, you have the Hammerhead Tyrant for stuff like that, which is really fun when this card can pop off really nicely. And the rest of the on-site kill dragons, we have Terror of the Peaks and Scourge of Valkas. Again, if you've seen my Dragon deck profile, you already know how good these cards are, and especially with Miirym. Having Miirym do double triggers of these guys is just nuts. And then we have the token enabler dragons. We have Utvara Hellkite and Lathliss, the Dragon Queen. These guys are just really nice. They're really cool. They will allow you to potentially get out some dragon tokens so you have more bodies, and plus again Miirym ignores the legendary ruling, so you can have 2 Lathers on the board and just get more 5/5 dragons while he gives you more 6/6 dragons, and it's just nuts how these guys can combo off with cards like Dragon Tempest, Scourge of Valkas, and Terror of the Peaks nicely. Just spin this with the pot. And then these are what I call the mana making dragons. Here's one more. Here he is. Yeah. As I was trying to say, this is what I call the mana making dragons or the treasure making dragons, however you want to call these right here. We have one old Gnawbone. Again, if you've seen my Dragon deck profile, you know how good this card is. Ancient Rivals. Again, if you've seen Dragon, you know how fun this card is. And by the way, even though these are legendaries, again, Miirym ignores the legendary ruling. So you can have 2 of these guys right here. So let's say you have 2 old Gnawbones and 2 Unrivaled Ancients. You will get double the mana and double the treasures you would normally get if you had just one or the other, and you could just pop off with just bringing out more dragons hugely, which is nuts right here. We have a Savage Ventmaw to give. This is what I'm playing this deck. Unlike the Dragon, since you are going to be all strictly relying on red and green, unlike Dragon, which needs all 5 colors. This is a lot more easy to utilize compared to Dragon. This will give you 6 free mana, 3 red, 3 green, to do some more combo things, and also combos off with some heavy hitters, which I'll get to very soon. So yeah, Savage Ventmaw is nice. And then we have Goldspan Dragon to get you more treasures, and as long as Goldspan is on the board, all your treasures will tap for 2 mana. So if you get 2 of them on the battlefield, you'll get double the amount of treasures. I believe the whole treasure tap for 2 will not stack up, unfortunately. So there will always be only 2 mana instead of 1 or 3 such. Even if you have like a million of these guys. But hey, the fact that you get more treasures when you get 2 of them is still really nice as it is. And finally, for the treasure users, we have Blazing Sky. Not a bad dragon, not the best, but he does have the nice ability of whenever he dies, you get 3 treasures. He does have a decent versatility, but you're never going to use that ability. You're mostly going to use the ability to create 3 treasures when he dies. So with Miirym, you create a copy token of him, and then both the copy token and him both die. Guess what? You're going to get 6 treasures. More treasures to play more dragons, because we love playing more dragons. And then here we are, we have what I call the final payoff dragons. We have, as I mentioned, the Atarka Will Render, give your attacking dragons double strike. So heck yeah. Twin Flame Tyrant, again, if you see my Dragon profile, you know how good this card is. If my ruling is correct, I believe having double of him will not stack the double damage ruling. I'm not 100% sure if that is true, but even then, like I said, this deck is not trying to rely on just Miirym. You do want your dragons to be able to still do damage even without your Miirym's help in general, so Twin Flame Tyrant still helps on both sides of the deck. Not only for your dragons to be extra aggressive, but also you are playing token dragons that do stuff, so you will definitely stack up damage pretty nicely. And lastly, for the payoff dragons, we have Scourge of the Throne and Hellkite Charger. Hellkite Charger, he combos off with Savage Ventmaw aggressively. So thanks to Savage Ventmaw, you will get your 6 mana, and then Hellkite Charger, he requires 7 mana to use the ability to get initial combat phase. So what you do is, say you're attacking with these 2 guys right here, you attack with these 2 guys, trigger with Ventmaw, you'll get 6 mana, trigger with Hellkite Charger, you'll spend the 6 mana you got with him, and any, let's say a lane or something, so you just tap at any lane you need. It can be an island, because the 2 red will already be paid for right there. So you can just tap like another lane, like an island or something, or even a treasure, and then Hellkite Charger will allow you to untap your creatures, attack again, and every time you attack, you just rinse and repeat. And as a reminder, you have dragons that not only give you more mana, but also give you more treasures. So for example, let's say you have, what the heck was he? I was just showing him earlier. There he is. So let's say you have Goldspan Dragon. You're attacking with Goldspan Dragon. Goldspan Dragon gives you a treasure every time you attack with him. So, and he also gives you the ability to, well, unfortunately, the additional mana will fizzle because you are still trading phases technically. So, but hey, you're still getting a free treasure to spend to do stuff right here. So, worst case scenario, his ability says your mana does not fizzle until the turn you're done right here. So eventually you can stack up getting like infinite mana, infinite treasures, and infinite attack bases and just win the game right there, which is just really nice. And then to finally wrap up the dragons, we have Steel Hellkite. He's a colorless dude, so he does get around the protection stuff. So if you need protection, get around protection, he's there for there. Wrathful Red Dragon. Your opponents are going to want to do damage to your Wrathful Red Dragon, or your dragon in general. So Wrathful Red Dragon is definitely going to be helpful with there as well. I am going to potentially maybe consider putting a copy of this in my Dragon deck as well too, because he is fun right here. But with this deck, he's even more fun, because with Miirym, you will, if you get like a copy token of this guy right here, he will allow you to potentially double damage, which is just nice. And then we have my all-time favorite dragon, Balefire Dragon. If you've seen my Dragon profile again, you know how much I love this card, and you know how much I enjoy playing this card when I get the opportunity to play him. And then for the rest of the dragons, this is like the cheaper dragons, just so you can have some sort of board presence without just relying on your bigger dragons. We have one Thunderbreak Regent, one Thundermane Dragon. Again, if you've seen Dragon, you know why this card is good. Dragonborn Champion. Again, if you've seen Dragon, you know how good this card is. And then we have one Gen X Apex Hunter. What he does is whenever a dragon you control enters the battlefield, any dragon, even your token dragons, you get a free treasure token. So with Miirym, if you can play Miirym first and then play him, you get two of these guys, and guess what? As you're creating one of him and another dragon, you're gonna get two treasures right there, or three treasures if my ruling is correct. You're gonna get three treasures right there, and every time your other dragons and other dragon tokens enter, you will get more treasures, so more free mana to spend mana to do things. This can just get out of hand real quickly. And to finish off the dragon engine, we have one Scale Stinger, which will allow us to play dragons from the top of our library, and one Scale Neutru, which is pretty much a land or elf for dragons. Tap it for give you green mana, and if that mana is spent to cast a dragon creature spell, you will gain 2 life. So definitely very beneficial and useful right there. And to finally wrap up the creatures, we are playing the non-dragons in this deck right here. So the only non-dragons we're playing is one Delightful Halfling, one Bloom Tender. This is a 3-color deck, so in this deck right here, I feel it will be a lot more easy to utilize more than an Elder Dragon, I think. Since you only need 3 colors, and you have your and bring out your other 2 colors, art is pretty easy to do. So you will be able to have the nice ability to tap them for 3 mana to mirror colors, and still be able to drop your big force stuff right there. And then one Birds of Paradise, because Birds of Paradise. And we have the one single copy of Sarkhan Soul Flame. If you see my Dragon profile, you know how good this card is. The cool part about him is that if you bring out Miirym, this can turn himself into Miirym, and then as this is a Miirym as well, and you bring out another dragon, guess what? Miirym and your Sarkhan are going to create more dragon tokens, which is just gnarly what you can do with this deck right here with him, which is sick. And that is it for the creatures. We're playing a very small Planeswalker engine. We have Sarkhan Fireblood. Again, if you've seen my Dragon profile, you know why this card is in here. So this card is nuts. And then we're playing one copy of Sarkhan Unbroken. You can +1 him to draw a card, add a mana of any color. Unlike Sarkhan Fireblood, he doesn't care what mana you use, what you spend the mana for. You can spend the mana for anything. So this gives you free card draw and a free mana draw. If you need a body in case things aren't going your way, you can -2 him to give you a free 4/4 dragon token. He does have a really nice ultimate. Being able to bring out all your dragons at once is nice, but we don't really use him for his ultimate. We don't really care if we use his ultimate or not. All we really care for him is to create either a 4/4 dragon or to get us some mana ramping for our dragons while drawing our cards, and that's what we mainly use him for. If you're able to bring out like at least 3 dragons before your opponent wastes their kill spell to get rid of him and not your dragons, he's pretty much done his job. But if you can pop off with your ultimate, especially if you have Miirym on the battlefield, oh boy, your opponents are gonna have a bad dang day. And that is it for the creatures, and that is it for the Planeswalkers. Now let's go straight into the artifacts. Get the artifacts out of the way real quickly. So for the artifacts, we have Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, and Farewell Stone. If you know, you know. No explanation why these cards are in there for. We're playing one Talisman for tap for red green, and I take a 1 damage. Like I said, we're playing mostly red green. We're relying mostly on red green. So yeah, we definitely need the red green the most with this card right here. And then we have Herald. Again, you've seen Ur Dragon. You definitely know how good these cards right here. The Dragon Orbs. Again, no explanation. Dragon Hoard. Oh, let me go a little closer. Yes, Dragon Hoard. There it is. So Dragon Hoard, again, no explanation needed. And then something I'm currently messing around with is one Cursed Mirror. You're playing double dragons, so you can copy your Miirym for the turn and copy something else for the turn. That way you can just proceed with more combos. And then once you're done with your combos, it just taps for red. I don't know how I feel about this card right here. This card is kind of meh. I get it. You combo off with stuff hugely, especially if you copy something like, let's say, a Terror of the Peaks, a Ureni, or something. And this card also gives up haste too, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with more further test playing. Maybe I'll keep this card in, maybe I'll take it out. I don't know. I'm just not really too sure about this card, really quite yet. And that is it for the artifact section. Now for the enchantments. We are playing a good amount of enchantments for this deck right here, especially knowing the fact that they combo off with Miirym pretty well. We have a single copy of Parallel Lives. This allows us to create additional tokens whenever we create tokens. Same thing with Doubling Season, same reason as Parallel Lives. These cards are just nuts with your Miirym. It's just ridiculous. And then we have one Reflections. It's not as potent compared to Doubling Season and Parallel Lives, but in case if you don't have your Miirym going, this is a nice way to create more dragon tokens if you need dragon tokens. Now, unfortunately, unlike Miirym, this does not ignore the legendary rule, unfortunately. So if you play a legendary creature if you play a legendary creature while you don't have Miirym on the board right here, and you try to create a token copy of that legendary creature, you will still do that, but unfortunately the legendary rule will apply, so you will have to sack off either the token or the original creature itself. Like, it's fine if your opponent happens to do something particular. So yeah, if you happen to do something particular and you can still pop off with more Terror Peak combos, Scourge combos, etc. But again, it does have its uses, unfortunately, due to the fact that this card does not ignore legendary rules. So that is something you do gotta watch out for when this card is deck right here. And then the rest of the enchantments, we have Dragon Tempest, No Explanation, Terror Emissary, and Frost Cleave. Again, if you've seen my Ur Dragon, you know how good these cards are. Fires of Yamamaya. Sorry, someone was revving their motorcycle. Anyways, Fires of Yamamaya. Again, if you've seen Ur Dragon, you know why this card is in here for. But I am going to take this card out of my Ur Dragon deck and fully put this card in this deck instead, because this card gives all your creatures haste, creatures and tokens and your non-tokens. So in my Ur Dragon deck, I'm going to pick up Rhythm of the Wild, I think it's called, and I'm going to take out Fires of Yamamaya, so this deck can have Fires of Yamamaya full time, and Rhythm of the Wild is going to be going to my Ur Dragon deck, because Ur Dragon doesn't care for tokens really that much compared to this card here. Rhythm of the Wild only protects your regular creatures from being encountered, not your token creatures. Well, actually no, it says all your creatures can't be countered in general. While also only your non-token creatures will get the riot option, whereas this only supports all your creatures in there. So yeah, we'll see what happens down the road right here. And then we have and then we have a Kindle Discovery. You're playing Dragon Tribal. This is gonna let you draw cards a lot. So yeah, it makes sense to use it. And again, if you see my Ur Dragon profile, you know why these cards are here for. Of the Beanstalk and Grixis Uprising. And that is all we're really doing for the enchantment section. And next up, for the incidents and sorceries, we do have a small minor lane ramp package. We have the 3 visits, Farseek, Nature's Lore. If you've seen my Ur Dragon profile, if you've seen my Cobalt deck profile, you know why these cards are good in this deck right here. And since we are playing quite a bit of basic lands, I did decide to throw in a Rampant Growth. I am thinking about maybe putting a Rampant Growth in my Ur Dragon deck, because we are playing a good amount of basics in that deck as well. Not as much as compared to that deck, but I don't know, we'll see what happens for our test playing. But as you saw, this deck is playing quite a bit of basics, so this card will definitely have some usage. Grab a basic that you need, whatever color you need the most, and just proceed to ramp and get your land stuff going. And then for like target actually before we go to target removal, I am playing a Sarkhan's Triumph with flavor text right here. This is a bracket 2 deck, while my Ur Dragon deck is bracket 3, so that's why I'm not playing really anything too crazy with this deck right here. Plus, this is Tamir, it has no white and black, so I have to use this instead of the other one that I have in my Ur Dragon deck. So unfortunately, this is the best tutor we have for this deck as of right now. And now for the spot removal stuff, we have Chaos Warp, Beast Within, and Hybridization. Just nice target removal stuff if you need target removal in case something gets too out of hand. And then we are playing only one border wipe right now. We have Blasphemous Act. Sadly, we're not, as I mentioned earlier, we're not playing black, so we can't use Crooks of Fate, unfortunately. But this is a good substitute to make up for that. Blasphemous Act is just a nice board wipe to wipe out everything. So if something gets too out of hand, say your opponents keep killing all your creatures and all your opponents got a good amount of creatures themselves, you can just be like, nope, I'm gonna Blasphemous Act for 1 mana, get rid of all that shit, and then I'm gonna start dropping my dragons like there's no tomorrow. And yeah, dudes, that right there was my Miirym Sentinel Wyrm deck profile. Hope you guys enjoy the deck profile. Give me some feedback, give me some criticism. If you guys want to criticize the deck, I do welcome criticism. There is one card I definitely want to I forgot what his name is, but he's essentially a merfolk dude, legendary merfolk, that allows me to create double tokens. So he's pretty much parallel lives and double in season on legs, if that makes sense. I do want to put it in that guy. I just don't know what to take out for him. And there is some other cool things I want to put in the deck as well. But again, if you guys have feedback, I really do appreciate it. And once again, I am going to be active on Twitch tonight. So if you guys are watching this on my YouTube channel, check out my Twitch channel, please. It would really mean a lot to me. Link in the description down below if you guys want to check out my Twitch channel. We're almost at 1,000 followers. It would really mean a lot to me if you help me hit 1,000. And with that being said, I will see you guys another day. In and out. Bye. Peace. And I love yous.